we started a union. I was a founder of the Wheatbank Teachers Union.
Wow.
Before even SADU was
Started.
founded. Yeah. But with the team that I was working with, we were able to raise 300 million. That was 50% of what was owed then. Even before they identified me as a mayor.
Yeah.
Him identifying me to come and serve as a convener. First, I was not comfortable with it. And then I decided, no, I'm an NEC member. I cannot be deployed from a provincial level. And then this one time I was sitting in the NEC Asatu, I got a call from Mukwere Mantash. And then he said, hey, Ntombe, hi man, I have a delegation of people from Mpumalanga and they feel that you are the one who can help them with this thing. Hi, kawahambe man, Ntombi, kawahambe man, uyoncedisa phaya. And then I thought he was the Secretary General of the ANC.
Yeah.
Then, hey, who am I to refuse this deployment? And then I took it like that.
Hi everyone, welcome to Motivation Corner, your favorite podcast and the biggest podcast in the world. My name is Mbulu Gang, your favorite host and content creator. Welcome yet to another inspiring and motivating episode. If you are here for the first time, please like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. If you're a returnee, thank you so much, guys, for coming back and staying with us. We really, really appreciate you. Like I said, this is an inspiring and motivating
how to get subscribers
today, guys. I have a powerful woman, a massive one. I was just telling you that she's massive. I'm just gonna read her bio for you guys. I'm gonna be talking to Salome Sithole. She was born in Pretoria. She is a qualified teacher practicing as an attorney and a conveyancer. She has 2 degrees in BA and LLB. She has a certificate in financial and accounting principle, public management and development, and project management. She has served in so many unions, and also she served as the executive mayor of Emalahleni. So my people at Emalahleni meet Mam Salome, and thank you so much, Mama, for honoring my invite. I do not take it light or for granted when people of your caliber decide to honor my invite and wanna sit down and have a conversation with me. You are welcome, and just please greet the people and also say a few words.
No, thank you. Thank you, Mplunke, for the invitation and for having me. Well, it is an opportunity for me, to be talking to people, and I must say I appreciate what you did, and maybe let me say hi to whoever who's watching. I'm not sure,
it's the whole world. It's YouTube.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, and here I am, honoring the invitation from Pulukeng. I'm not sure what we're going to discuss, but I'll do my best, in answering whatever question that will be coming my way.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mama. And then, as she said, she doesn't know what we're going to talk about. Usually, I like to keep my conversation authentic, because if I ask people question in advance, they come very prepared, and then the conversation is no longer authentic. You can feel the answers that these are rehearsed, so it doesn't take the authenticness out of it. Yes, let's talk about Mam Salome. We mentioned that you are from Pretoria. Let's go back there. How was it growing in Pretoria, and where did you go to school?
Well, Mpulukeng, I was born in Pretoria, but I have been through so many places. I realize now when I'm grown up that, I was this child who is not afraid of change.
Yes.
I was born in Pretoria. I attended school, my primary at Kensani Primary School. And then I went to Kuto for a year. That was a higher primary. And then I decided, no, man, I want to move because, most during school holiday, you visit.
Yeah.
And then you'll be visiting your aunt. And then I visited my aunt in Mapetla in Soweto.
Yeah.
And then, because where I was born in Valmanstal,
Yeah.
it was a rural place. You go fetch water, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then when I get to Soweto, there was water from the taps.
Yeah.
And then there was a flushing toilet.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, this is the life. And then I told my mom, no, I'm going to live with my aunt. She agreed. And her motivation for agreeing, number one, she was a domestic worker. So most of the time, I would be with my cousins. The age difference was not so much. And it so happened that this one time when I went to fetch water from the pit, the well.
Yeah, yeah.
I fell into that well.
Oh my God.
And it had just rained. It was full to the brim. So, luckily, there were people around who were doing washing. The place where we were staying, it was a kind of a big house, if I may say that, but we were poor.
Yeah.
It was kind of a big house which was built by my grandparents then. Yeah. So we were closer to a school called Valmanstal Secondary School. People would come from different places to attend school there, and they would need a place to, like a boarding kind of a thing, but there was no boarding space. So they would go, ask for places. So at home, we accommodated some of those. So it happened that on this day, they were around doing their washing. So I fell in, but I floated, I floated, and they made some means to pull me out, and I was out. So that's what motivated my mom to think, I think there's something that's not going right here, with old people, with witchcraft and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I went to Mapetla. I attended school there for 3 years? 3 years, and then I was out of there. Went back to Soshanguve. Because there was this forced removals from Valmanstal, and then we were moved to Soshanguve. Then I went back to Soshanguve. But my reason of going back to Soshanguve, well, maybe as we talk, I will share some, because I'm this one person, when you threaten me, I will react in a way. If you say, when I come back, I will show you. Remember, I was still a child.
Yeah.
Are you not going to find me? I was a runaway child.
Yeah.
Each time I felt like there's some threats and stuff.
It's not safe.
I was a runaway child. I think
Yeah.
I ran twice from Mapetla to Soshanguve, catching a train. And they thought I went to school. I used my school fees money and ran home, because that's where home is, in Soshanguve. So I went back to Soshanguve. I attended, it was in the middle of the school year.
Yeah.
So I quit school from Ngungunyane. That was where I was doing Form 1. Yes, in it's now in Dlamini. Ngungunyane is in Dlamini. I used to walk. We walked long distances to school.
Yeah, yeah.
I used to walk from Mapetla, go past Shawela, then to Dlamini.
Yo.
Okay, now that was not an issue. When you are young,
Yeah.
it's not an issue. So, mid-school year, I quit. I was in Form 1. And remember, we are the group that got delayed during the 1976 uprising.
Yeah.
We could not write our Standard 5, and it was external. So we had to wait for the following year to write, but that happened. And then, so it means that I did my Form 1 for 3 months or so. And then I quit. I went home. After I've been a runaway child for more than twice, 2 times. And my mother thought, maybe we should just live here, because taking her back to whatever place, the next thing she'll run away and then we'll not find her.
Yeah, she'll never go back
And
home.
then I spent 6 months not attending school. I was in Form 1. Then the following year, I had to go back to school. Yeah. Come to think of it, I think I loved school. I loved education. I was not aware. I'm realizing it now.
Yeah.
I think I loved education because I had all the reasons for me to quit school, and try and see if I can hustle here, and because you know,
Yeah.
the place is like the place where I ran away from. It was not that conducive, but I made a plan. What I decided not to do is to go and get my, it was called a remove then
removal,
from the
yeah.
previous school. I did not. I have passed.
Yeah.
I have my certificate. And then I heard that this group of standard fives from Soshanguve, they are going to a new school and then they will be submitting their application. I squeezed mine in their applications. And then the principal, because you know we sign,
Yeah.
you know, when documentation is a
Lord.
lot, you just sign. And then mine got signed like that. And then the principal, because he knows me from standard 3
Oh,
in
yeah.
Khutso. And then he was like, but you were not attending here. It was too late. And that's how I got into Lethabong High School. I did my Form 1 again. And, well, high school, I passed. Well, there were some challenges there because I fell pregnant while I was in matric. And yeah, so it's a lot. I can go on and on.
Yeah,
So I
no.
don't know if you want me to proceed, but that's my childhood in a nutshell.
Yeah, it looks so colorful, and
It is.
it's so colorful that, and I love the fact that you said you had so many reasons to have left school, but you pushed. Why do you think so? What is pushing you? Why do you have so much resilience,
Well, hey,
even at a young age?
at a young age, then I did not know why. Because as I've indicated earlier, that we're poor. My mother was a domestic worker. I grew up not knowing my father. I only discovered my father after being married and divorced.
So this deadbeat father thing has always been there.
It has always been there. It has
Black
always
men.
been there. Yeah. So I get to realize now, you know, when you grow up, you get exposed to things, you read books. And then I came across a book that, you know, shows that as a person, when you are born, you have your life carved for you.
Yeah.
Your life path is your life path. It may take you longer to get to your destiny, but you will always come back to your destiny. So that's why I was thinking that I had to be what I am today. That's why I was pushing. Although then I did not know why I loved school. Like I'm saying, from a very early age, there were reasons for me to quit school. Well, the upside of it is that at least I was this child to own a pass.
Yeah,
I
got brain.
I did not struggle with understanding, you know, when they teach me. But I had all the reasons. You know, when I was in high school, now I'm back in Soshanguve. When I was in Soweto, it was a bit better because my aunt used to amfik cheletea care.
Yeah.
It will be 25 cents per week.
Yeah.
I had to spend 5
5
cents per day.
day.
Not being the child that I am, you know,
Yeah.
so going to school, I would go past this place, Barakisama Gwenya. And then I would spend on Monday the whole 25 cents. And then come the other 4 days, I guess I chelete, I care.
Yeah.
I guess I chelete. But it was better then. In Soshanguve, chelete carry comes once a month. Like I've indicated that my mother worked as a domestic worker. She would come home once a month.
So you were literally taking care of yourself.
I had my cousin and my brother. But yeah.
But
So my cousin was the one who was taking care of us. You have no money. And you are a teenager, you trying to clap. I used to like dye my hair. London line.
oh,
Yeah, I used to London line, and I would have this big, thick hair.
Yeah.
You know, I'll spend whatever little money that I had. You know, when my mom was there, and then during the whole period of the month, I don't have money for food at school. However, break time, you would go out and pretend as if you're going home to eat, and then you'd get home, drink water, and run back. And it was quite a distance. If you know Soshanguve, I stayed Kodi H. And then Kena Skolo Kodi Tabong, Kodi F. So it's quite a distance.
I don't know.
You can
so
run.
yeah.
You can run during
Just
a
for
30,
water.
just so you are not seen gore wena ha uji. Wa bona? So that too, and then only the chomi tse di jang di baraka di plate ka break, and you watching them, you'd rather run home and come back. And then I did that, but I'd stayed at school. Then, as I've indicated earlier, that I fell pregnant while I was in matric. I had to take a break. Okay. The other thing about my mom, she was a domestic worker, but she also would push gore ke ye sekolong. You know, these women baba sebetsang ko di kitchen, they are so dynamic and knowledgeable. What they do also is to look at the lifestyle of their bosses and then think, I want this lifestyle for my child. You know, so she would pay school fees for me without fail. She would buy uniform without fail. Ne ke sena uniform ya maratha, ne ke apara uniform e proper, ke na le dibuka. Although sometimes I would take the money for the textbook ke ja ke re le nna yanong ke batho ba mo styleng ke tshwane le batho ba bang gore le nna I can buy what you are buying during break. Sorry. Then, so I attended school up to the end, although with some disappointments. You know, I remember this was one time there was a trip to Durban, and then I told my mom, trip to Durban, and she promised that, no, you are going. Come time to pay for the trip, my spectacles, they got broken. And then she had to spend that money to go get another set of them. I did not go, unfortunately. Fast forward, matric, met this guy who I ended up get married to. I got this guy. It was nice. He was looking after me also. He was at a boarding school. So, batla mo romela caringana le ena, and then we would share. A betcha. Now, who free Moscow high? I'm with my cousin. My cousin Lena Oseveza, Uchaisa lady. And okay, my mom said I should introduce, you know, because you could see that I now and I want to see the person that you're seeing. I get a no the bosses are high. They allow dating and stuff.
Children,
She allowed that. She allowed this guy, and then we were free. We were free. We were free. About you. He would come home, I would do his washing, and I fell pregnant. Then, but I wrote my matric, although it disturbed me in a way. I passed. 3 years after matric, I had to stay home, raising my child. Yes, but at least the father is here. Yeah, the father is here. He was very supportive. And then he decided, no, man, you cannot just be sitting here. Because one, I wanted to improve my results. But you know, after matric, you can come back and repeat. I don't know if it is happening now.
Yeah, I think it does happen now.
It does happen. Then how matric, it's over for you. I wanted to go back to school, but I couldn't. He pushed, he said, no, let us try, you know, doing some applications, maybe go to the teacher's college. Then he went, got forms for me. I filled them in. He took them back. I was admitted after 3 years. I had to send my child while I go to school. I went, got my teacher's diploma, and then lobola was paid in the process. And then by the time I did my final year, I was a Mrs. Sithole. Then I had to come back this side, look for a job. I got a job at the Itirileng Primary School. I taught there for 2 years, but it was a temporary post. Then there were new schools that were opened, Kudinambi. One of them was Nancy Shiva. I applied, I got the job. I worked there for 22 years.
Wow.
Now, coming to what you have raised earlier on to say, your life was going to work, home, work, home,
Yeah,
work.
before we started, yeah.
I would
You
never.
lived it.
I wouldn't have it. No, lived it.
Yeah.
No ways.
You never was like
No,
one.
I was never like that. I was never like that. You know. So
You've been a
I
hustler.
you know, from childhood. From childhood.
Yeah, I can attest with you just taking money and just like I don't want to look normal, man. You always had to be different.
You know.
Yeah.
Where was I? Okay, now I'm teaching.
Yeah.
And I started teaching at those apartheid years. I started teaching in 1989.
Yo.
And it was a bit oppressive, man, mo dikolong. You know how fitlha o principal, the second manager say, hey, go na le kgatello, man. And now there was this crop ya rona. We started a union. I was a founder of the Wheatbank Teachers Union.
Wow.
Before even SADU was founded. Yes.
Wow.
So there were those different unions, you know, in every towns you would have your Social Nguve Teachers Union, your SADU, your Wheatbank Teachers Union, yo. And then, I remember in this one meeting where we were planning for this union, for launching this union, there was this man. I did not know him by then, and then I got to know him as Jackson Mthembu.
Yeah.
He nominated me to be the secretary in that union.
Yeah.
We were with the late Thabo Mnareng, because he was also the one who recruited me into coming together to form the union. He was working Kamonkonjane na Kilkamo Itirileng. So when we went to work, we would meet, you know, go taxiing, and then there is this young teacher, and then he recruited me, and then I went, and then Jackson nominated me. I got there, and then we went on. SATU was established. We were the founder of SATU Orlando Stadium. At some point, I was a respondent, or we have to go to court. I was respondent number 9.
What did you do?
That we were starting this union.
Oh,
Then apartheid time, it was like we were criminals, and we were not. Yeah, you know, protesting, going strike, things like that. And then I think that was the start of my
Your political journey.
my journey to where I am today. I want to say, maybe I will say a little bit more about SATU. I was active.
Yeah.
You know, I became active. You know, Mosuhore, if you are involved in those things, you get exposed. You go to meetings. You meet other people. You talk. People identify you.
Yeah.
You know, they see potential. So I got elected as a branch secretary. I think I served for 2 terms as a branch secretary. I got elected as the chairperson of the branch. I served while there. You meet with other people from other regions, and then I got elected. I became a regional deputy secretary, and then you also negotiate there, and then you realize, man, hey, this thing here, you are a negotiator, and you also represent teachers, you know, during hearings and stuff. And then you go to this hearing, you have no clue what you are going to say.
With the language.
And then I said, nee, man. Yeah. You know, while SATU is an institution, I must say, COSATU is an institution of learning. Most of the things that I have learned, I learned from SATU. You know, public speaking, for instance.
Yeah.
I learned it from there. Conducting meetings, you know, I learned it from there. You know, so we learned a lot of things because they would run workshops that this is how you report. This is how you run meetings. And then you sit in an institution, maybe as a board member, and there are still people who are struggling, not knowing how to report, how to present matters arising,
you
know, and the implementation plan. that I learned while I was still a branch secretary in SADU. That when we meet, we agree that we are going to do 1, 2, 3. When you come back, you are going to say, we agreed on 1, 2, 3, and this is how far we have implemented.
Yeah.
But I find people struggling to do that, even in big institution, in corporate institution, people are struggling to do that. I have learned that from SADU. I have learned to be able to address people, but so I have learned a lot from SADU. Okay. Fast forward, I'm a regional secretary. I'm not secretary, deputy secretary.
Sorry, before, like you mentioned that a lot of people now, they are failing to conduct or to report. Where do you think the problem might be? Are they not willing to learn, or?
It's not necessarily not willing to learn, but I don't think they're getting the same opportunity that we got from SADU. We had committed people, making sure that they develop. When they say you are a leader, you have to present yourself as a leader, because they also don't want an embarrassment being associated with a person who cannot lead, and yet that person is set to be a leader. So they would develop you so that they are proud of you when you stand there and think, that's our product. So, people who were groomed by unions then. Okay, I am referring to SADU mostly because I was a teacher and I was belonging to that union. But people who were unionists then, I can promise you that they are able to address people. They are able to ask relevant questions in meetings. They are able to present themselves in meetings, because the other thing that they teach you, is that because when you are in SADU, you're also an affiliate of COSATU. So that exposure grows. You meet a lot of people,
Prominent.
You prominent people. You get exposed to opportunities.
Wow.
So you would be taught that you should not be afraid to say you say. If you have something to say, and if people are saying something that you don't agree with, you must say it. But you must also learn to listen. My chairperson, the provincial chairperson here, SADU, I think he's a chief director now at the Department of Education, Sithole, would say, when you get to a place and you are new, you don't rush to talking. Get to know how things are run around here.
Gauge them.
You keep quiet. If it takes 3-6 months for you to get to understand what is happening, do that, so that by the time you start talking, you know how things are done.
Yeah.
You don't come there and try to reinvent the wheel or try to make yourself as if you are that clever. And then they would say, no, this is how we do things.
Yeah.
No, this is how we do things. Wait, watch, observe. By the time you talk, you will be knowing what you're talking about.
I love that.
So I would practice that. Some areas I just come there and keep quiet, and people would look at you and think,
you're inferior.
Yeah. And when you start talking, that's when we're like, oh wow, at least there's something there.
Yeah.
But all this, it's because of the kind of training, if I would say that, or development that I get from being a unionist. And I had to go up the stairs. It did not end at the provincial. Well, at the provincial level, I was the sports, arts and culture convener.
Yeah.
When you are at the provincial level, now you're meeting even the other provincial leaders. There would be a time where you go to Joburg, you are meeting as leaders from provinces.
Yeah.
And then you get noticed. I was noticed also there. I said, no, we think you are a national material.
Yo.
And then I got nominated, I got elected, I became a vice president of SADU.
I'm getting chills with your you inspired me. Yeah, continue.
So I am raising all this. It did not end there. Vice president of SADU. And then when you are there, now you're meeting with other affiliates, you meet with, how people, you meet with all these other affiliates of COSATU, one place. And then we go to COSATU, and then you get there, you observe, and then the day you decide to talk, and then you get noticed. And then I was noticed also. Comrade Vavi thought, we think we must second you to the NEC.
The
of
whole
COSATU. I served with a lot of people. You like you think exposure in COSATU. I got to get exposed to International Labour Organization that takes place annually. June. It was known for come June, I'll be going to Geneva for 10 days or so, where issues of all laborers or labor organization are dealt with. And even there, I was identified as one of the speakers. Now, there it is done differently. You don't just raise your hand and feel like you have an appetite because Mpulukene has said something. No, you identify a topic. Every day you'll have some kind of a pamphlet that would show that today in this hall, this is what will be happening in this hall, and these are the topics, and then you indicate which one you are interested in. And then you inform them a day before that I will be talking on this topic. And they allocate you a slot that we are going to give you 5 minutes, you talk on this topic.
Yeah.
And that's it. And if that time comes, you are not in there, yafita. Habana nako. So haona taba ya hore Mpulukeng said something and then I get right and then no, you go talk your original thoughts. So, I had a presentation there to an extent that I was also noticed.
Yeah.
But this time I refused because they wanted me as the deputy secretary for the federation for the global teachers, global unions. So it would put in different federations, your COSATU, that is now countries from South Africa, from Ghana, from Zimbabwe, from Brussels, I had to go serve in Brussels, and I was thinking my kids are still young. No, I'm not doing it.
So you declined for your kids?
I declined for my kids. Oh, wow. They were still young. So, that's that's what happens when you are exposed and, if you have learned, like as I have been trained, from SATU, and then people are like, who is this person? Who is this person? Who is this person? I was developed in such a way that I remember at one point in COSATU was supposed to run a congress. It's a big thing, COSATU Congress. It's a huge thing. And then we had these two, this deputy president, the late Violet Siboni, may his soul rest in peace, and the late who was that woman? Alina Ransolasi. Now, when the Congress starts, the president does not talk first. There has to be somebody who is opening, who's running that session for that particular time until it is time for the president to talk. Mm-hmm. Now, it so happens that they did not have, now, how many were they? It was Comrade Stumo who was left, Comrade Vavi and Comrade Begin Chalinchal. When they were supposed to be 5, 6, they needed a person who would come and chair the Congress. And they went to SATU, give us your vice president, to chair this Congress. I was identified. I chaired that Congress. You get noticed. So the more you get exposed, you get noticed. So this is addressing what you raised earlier on of going home, work. Utlo meet mang. Utlo bona ke mang. Who's going to notice you? What opportunities are you going to get? So I would always advise even the kids at school, be active. Even if in sports, you do sport, you sing, but do something
extra.
Do something extra.
Be part of the community.
Be part of the community, and then you will get noticed. Naganjani, if you are good at what you're doing, you'll get noticed. And then, well, the sky is not even the limit. You know, the aviation people, they say the sky is just the beginning because there is something beyond the sky. You know, that's why we have spaceships and stuff, you know. So, yeah, I guess I was trying to address that.
Yeah, no, you really did address it very well. And I'm really inspired and I'm thinking that most of us, we're not even living our purpose because we just okay with the crumbs that we're getting.
You know?
We're not out there. And I wonder what is causing us to be like that. Is it not being ambitious enough, or we just want to be good people and stay out of people's way? Just want to, because some people will tell you that go to work, do what you're supposed to do, and then come back. But that way, you're not growing.
You're not growing at all. And I think even at the workplace situation, there are opportunities. You can't tell me that you don't have meetings, you don't have workshops where you have to go out and meet people outside your colleagues, you know, because it may start small, but it will be exposing you to something else, you know, networking.
Yeah.
And through the network, and then you realize, hi man, looks like I'm sleeping on myself.
Yeah.
You know, I think I can do, you know, 1, 2, 3, and then you get you can never grow if you are doing one and the same thing every day. You're seeing the same people. How do you grow? You cannot.
You're not challenging yourself.
You're not
you
challenging
wouldn't even
yourself.
know if you can be a speaker.
You wouldn't even know even if that I'm capable of doing this. You know, talking of that, I realize now in my old age that had I had the opportunity, I get poverty it
blinds you.
Poverty poverty is because you know, when I look back, if it wasn't that we were poor, you know, if you have to participate in sports and you have to buy extra things, body short penny and the color when you go for athletics and stuff, I could not do that now because where will I get the money?
Yeah.
But when I look back,
They
I
limited
think
you.
I could have been an athlete, man. I think I have the energy. I could have done it,
Yeah.
you know, but I didn't. But, well, I don't regret that much because here I am today. I've been exposed to so many things. I have interacted with so many people, you know, and that is also helping me in what I am currently doing. Because also it's a profession of networking.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't network,
Yeah,
you
you
know,
won't.
you have to network. Somebody must refer
you.
somebody to you. You know. But for you to know that you are able to do that, you are able to work with people, you are able to meet a person and have a conversation, and that you can only you may achieve. Part of achieving being able to hold a conversation is reading books.
Yeah.
Read,
increase your vocabulary.
And don't just read the fiction.
Love drama. And drama.
You know, read books. They will open up your mind and how you see things and how you see people.
Yeah.
You know, I don't quite remember who was saying this, that, you know, as a person, you must have knowledge of every little topic that is spoken.
Yeah. Be an all-rounder.
Be an all-rounder. What's got to have a work aviation? You like, what's that? Have a work at the horoscope. What's that? They go to politics. You have no clue whatsoever because when are you only focusing on what you are doing
And
at the time?
You're not living in your full capacity
You
as
are
a
not.
human being.
You are
as
not.
well.
And for you to be able to interact with people, you must be not. And then you talk about, but I must have a little bit, you know, of knowledge of what you are doing. And we start talking about what you're doing. You get interested also in me because it cannot be that when I talk to you, it will be all about me. I must also show interest in you. How do you show interest in another person if you don't even have a clue of what that person is doing or what entails what that person is doing?
Yeah.
You know, so books also, you know,
Helps.
makes us helps us to be dynamic, you know, and traveling also. Traveling.
I love traveling.
Okay, at least you're doing that.
No, I wanted to share that at work, by chance, I fell into the union, like being a shop steward.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask you, how do you deal with it? Because I remember we were 10 shop stewards, and then we're supposed to choose the top 5, which is the chairperson, vice, secretary, whatever. Those 5, they, what do we call them? BEC.
Yes.
Yes. And then we had agreed as to who's going to be the chairperson, who's going to be what, and who is going to be what. And then to my surprise,
guess what? When you get there,
the comrades were like, and then the next day, when you get inside, people now they are talking a different language. Like, how, like, also I did talk about it on my podcast, and I'm like, it helped me, number one, it really helped me to notice people, like to check, like when I'm talking to a person, I really need to look you in the eye, look for every communication, because your words can say something, but your face will tell me something, if you are careful enough. So how did you deal with that? For me, I was crushed. I was like, but also I had to come back and be like, this is the game.
True.
Yeah.
Well, during our era, I guess maybe one was lucky, but I think comrades then were honest. They were honest then, which is more than what I can say right now, because there is this new culture of saying one thing and not do it.
People are motivated by money.
True.
Than standing for a good cause.
True. So that's why I'm saying during our era, it was not the case. When they have identified you as a capable person, you would get in there, with no money involved and nothing. And most of the things we were doing them for free. I only realized when I was at the national level, so there are benefits here. You're getting a laptop, you're getting a phone. But it was for the love, of the people that we were serving. But right now, I'm not sure if we're still doing it for the love of the people we're serving.
I think to answer your question is now there are people who go to a meeting, people are unable to articulate themselves or to report right. It's because the rightful people who were supposed to be there, they were sabotaged.
True.
And then now you have chosen each other so that you can manipulate people.
Capacity or not.
People so that it's easy to manipulate them.
True.
Except, like, forgetting the needs of or the cause of why you joined this union.
That's so true.
Yeah.
These days, I guess it's a question of what's in it for me. If I put Mpulukeng in there, is she going to serve my interest?
What do you think we are going really with this?
Yeah, I don't want to get into that one. Because
it's scary.
It's a big one. It's a big
scary,
one.
Ma, because I'm already thinking for my kids. If it's like this and it's not getting better, what will happen of them?
Well, at some point, I think it will have to crash, if I have to say it like that, and then we start from scratch. Where we'll then decide that now we are identifying capable people. Now we want to rebuild. Right now we're talking about that, but we are not doing it until maybe we will almost be all the same, be on the ground, all of us, everything has crashed. Then maybe we will come back to our senses and do the right thing and get capable people so that we're able to build the capable state that we're talking about. But as it is right now, we have many people who are where they are and,
Before we started, I said you were your generation, and before us, you guys were fighters. You stood for a good cause. Like even the youth of 1976, they were like, we're not going to stand to be taught in Afrikaans. We will do something about it. So this week we were listening to the budget speech, and a lot of people are not happy, but we are not happy on Twitter, on Facebook, on our corners. What do we lack?
What can you do? What can you do?
We can take it to the streets, but we're not.
We're seeing protests day in, day out. We're seeing that. And until it registers, until it registers on all of us that we need to rebuild, especially we Africans.
Yeah.
We need to rebuild and, stand for what we stood for before. Pre-apartheid, we were united because our cause was fighting apartheid. Now, I guess we are comfortable. I guess we are comfortable because, things are happening. You are able to access whatever. There's a lot that...
There's too much freedom.
There's freedom, and we've got a lot of benefits. I must say that ANC has worked. It has worked for us to be where we are. People may be saying, we did not benefit from this organization, but the fact that we are able to do what we are doing today, you are able to become a business person, you are able to get into parliament, you are able to get into whatever school you want. There's a lot. You are getting grants, you're getting free housing. They have done a lot. It's just that something went wrong somewhere, which needs to be corrected. But we cannot afford to go back to where we were before.
Can't. I don't think we will.
I don't think so. I don't know. But we are so comfortable, we are so lax that today we find ourselves in this government that we don't really understand. Yeah. It's because we are comfortable. Even on the voting part, people would decide, no, I'm not voting. And we're not necessarily saying when you go and vote, you say vote for Mbulukeng. We're saying go vote.
Exercise
have your say.
That right.
Yes, have your say. We don't do that.
Yeah, no.
It's a mistake. They make sure they teach even their kids. We see them.
Yeah.
When we go for voting, 5, 6. When only one because you understand the cause, and then the rest of you more family understand we have arrived.
Besides, people are thinking if they go and vote, they're like, we are enriching Bo Mom's Tolemus Gafan. It has nothing for us.
That's the thing. That's the thing. I think we need this education. People must understand what is it to vote. It's not necessarily you enriching people. They must understand that. And the people that we get into government, I get it. You vote people into leadership positions, and then they will then decide who is going into government. So it starts. And our kids are not involved. They are not participating in those processes.
Because if we were to attend the ward meetings, attend the municipal meetings, when they call
we
meetings,
don't.
So we don't.
You are so active on social media. Yeah, whoever came up with this social media, you guys are so active on social media, and then the fight is not on the social media. It is there in the ground.
It starts there.
Be there,
at your location. At the township,
yes.
Attend those meetings.
Yes.
Be heard.
Yes. So that's where we are, unfortunately.
This takes me to the question, when serving as the executive mayor, how was it? How did you get into it?
Yeah, it also goes back to being noticed. I got noticed when I was serving at the NEC. I was noticed by the chairperson, Mpumalanga. Then he then decided that I must come and be a convener, region, because they have disbanded the region.
Yeah,
I was not happy, but I had to come because when they identify you, they believe in you. I came for 3 months, and then we were able to lodge the regional structure, and then I thought, I'm out of it. And then this one time I'm getting a call from one of our comrades here. I think it was Comrade Fidel Mlombo, who is now in legislature, and saying, hey, you are being nominated here, or you are elected. Hey, it was past that one of the convener. Who was calling me? I don't quite remember. But then our former deputy president, Titi Mabuza, had to then call me and say, no, we're thinking of giving you another responsibility, because he saw me in the NEC. Yeah. And then he thought I should come and assist the site. Yeah. Even before they identified me as a mayor.
Yeah.
Him identifying me to come and serve as a convener. First, I was not comfortable with it. And then I decided, no, I'm an NEC member. I cannot be deployed from a provincial level. And then this one time I was sitting in the NEC Asatu, I got a call from Mukwere Mantash. And then he said, hey, Ntombe, hi man, I have a delegation of people from Mpumalanga, and they feel that you are the one who can help them with this thing. Hi, kawahambe man Ntombi, kawahambe man, you need disappear. And then I thought he was the Secretary General of the ANC.
Yeah.
Then, hey, who am I to refuse this deployment? And then I took it like that. And then when they talked about this mayoral thing, remember, I've never served as a councillor. I've never served. I was doing my things as a unionist and being active and stuff. Now they identify me to come and to be a mayor. I spoke to the premier then, the chairperson of the ANC. But can't you identify somebody else?
Yeah.
And then Titi would go like, hey, as a disciplined cadre, we are deploying you. What would happen if everybody we approach would tell us to find somebody else? That's ill discipline. And that's how I ended up agreeing to come to the municipality, thrown into a deep end. I've never been a councillor. Now I'm coming in at the helm. I am authority over everybody else who has been there, who knows the ins and the outs. Hey, Mpulukeng.
Can you imagine?
It was not easy, I must say. It was not easy. It was not easy at all. I had to read. I remember my first council sitting, was it the mayoral committee meeting? Now I'm used to chairing it a particular way. Or when you look at the agenda, you will read the whole agenda and ask for additionals and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I thought the highly council Irana, I come, agenda, and they were like, and I remember when the meeting was over, this one official was saying, sure, what kind of a meeting is that? Where have you ever seen a meeting run like that will read the whole agenda? Here we take item by item. You don't read the whole agenda. And he was ridiculing me, or like I don't know anything. And of course I did not know. I was never in the space, and nobody took me through the processes, or this is how things are done. So,
probably they might also not have been happy that you were there. They maybe might have had their own people.
Well, so I had to swim or sink. Well, I think I managed to swim for 4 years, and the term was supposed to last for 5 years. Unfortunately, by the time I thought I was now swimming, it was over. They thought, no, we think we are right with your services. We need the services of somebody else. But it was not an easy ride. It was not easy. It's a nice position, I must say. If everything else goes according to how it's supposed to be done, it is very nice. But I always say that you are as good as your weakest link. So if you don't have the necessary support, you may be how good, or you may want
strategic.
to do things, and it will never happen. It will never happen. You'll go to a meeting and find people singing and bending tires. The one thing that I am grateful for, Kore, God is great. Now I've seen God.
Wow.
I've seen God, and I'm saying I've seen God even past that time, because during that time, I did not know, but I would go into very tricky situations where you wouldn't dare go and come out. I remember this one time I had this, we were now under administration, and then there was Theo van Vuren. People were bending tires, collocationing. And then I went with my drivers. They parked their car and I walked there. I got in there. And then I talked to them. And then what's the problem? no, Mayor, this is happening. Nako, they don't want to pay for electricity. Eskom is threatening we're switching off and now I'm collecting. I went out like physically. Businesses. Hey, Eskom is going to switch on. Pay. Hey, during that time, well, I was able to raise with the team, although not everybody was supportive, but with the team that I was working with, we were able to raise 300 million. That was 50% of what was owed then, which was 600 million. We were able to raise the 300 million. And we had a plan that come December, I think it was around June, we had a plan that come December, we would have squashed this whole debt of Eskom. It was possible. The municipality can make money. The municipality is able to collect. Okay, we paid that 300 million, and unfortunately, my term ended. But what I wanted to raise was that I went into tricky situation. I remember you were saying, we may not be seeing eye to eye on other things, but I must give it to you. You are brave. I wouldn't have dared gone there because he came with bodyguards and stuff. I never had a bodyguard during my term. I only had drivers. I never had a bodyguard, whether at home or I never had one.
Your bodyguard was God.
My bodyguard was God, and he was very good to me. He was very good to me. He protected me in all these situations. You would go there, and some of the people that you're working with, they would talk to Mpagati. Mpagati doesn't just...
Yeah, they get information from...
They don't just decide, no, now we're going to protest against Mpulukeng. No, they don't.
Yeah.
They are being fed, today she is coming. Bend tires, cause problems for her. Do this. And then you will be busy putting out fires. You'll be busy putting out fires. But some will tell you, Rona, we want to work with you. But there are people who are saying we should do 1, 2, 3. The very people that you are working with, the people that are supposed to be supporting you.
The council.
Yeah, but I survived that. Here I am today talking about it. And thanks God that I'm still here. I'm still alive. And thanks to Mpulukeng that I got to tell the side of my story.
Yeah. That's all I want most of the time, for people to hear it from the horse. From the horse's mouth, as the saying says.
It was tough. When I was looked at this person who doesn't know what she's doing. Obviously, you cannot get into a place where you've never served and know exactly what needs to be done. But yeah, I had to do a lot of reading, so that...
What is your advice to the mayor now?
I can't advise.
You can't?
No. I cannot advise.
But okay, what did you take with you, the bad and the good? What did it bring for you being the executive mayor?
Well, what doesn't kill you makes you strong, and as an executive mayor, you get exposed also. Exposure is everything for me. Since I have started talking to you, I'm talking about exposure. Got exposed from little kid, exposed to running water. Exposure is everything. So as a mayor, you get exposed also. You get exposed to all kinds of people, all kinds of situations, all businesses. You get exposed. So it's up to you how you use that exposure to the good of the people, So I think that's what I took with me. And I'm strong. And having faced that situation at the local municipality, I think I can face anything that comes my way.
Okay,
because if you survive that space, then it means you can do anything. It's not an easy space to be in,
The
and
executive mayor's office.
It's created. The executive mayor's office is a very nice office, but dealing with people, dealing with community, dealing with your colleagues, telling the community what to do against you, that's the difficult part.
Yeah.
That's the difficult part. And I think that's what we are suffering from generally, not necessarily in the government space, but also in the private sector space. There is this thing in sabotage, man.
Yeah.
If it is not me in that chair, I will show you. You will not sit there. I will sabotage you until you are
leave.
off that chair. That's our problem. But I'm strong.
How would you handle after someone told you that there's someone doesn't want us to go with you? How do you then treat them the next day after finding out?
Looking, I think God really loved me when he created me. I'm forgiving. Very forgiving. I get angry. I get very angry. But once I am done with that anger, it's done. I don't hold grudges. I don't hate. I'm incapable of hating. They are my colleagues. They know why they are doing what they are doing. You know, do you know, as a person, when you get bored, do you know a person chooses a place where he should be born and the circumstances?
We choose.
People don't know that.
I don't know that.
The books that I read says you choose, because our souls never die. Our souls never die. It is the physical body that dies. And what happens is, as a soul, because the soul is huge, you'll find that you are living here as Mpulukeng. A little bit of your soul is in Australia. A little bit is in Uganda. A little bit is because if you can come back, we live forever. That is according to the books that I have read. The soul lives forever.
It doesn't die.
It doesn't die. It's just a question of development. If you haven't developed enough as human beings, apparently we are considered to be the infant of creation. The things that we do, so as you keep on living, coming back into the earth and choosing your family and choosing the circumstances in which you want to live, there's something that you want to learn, that you want to grow. You know, if you are an envious person, you will keep on living, coming back after every 100 years, you come back as a soul to deal with that envy. Until you get to that level, you will keep coming back. So all the envy, the jealousy, and if you can reach a level where you are able to love unconditionally, then you are a developed being. You no more come and live with the beings, on earth.
So when they say Utolobati, like the way they live their life, it was as if they know. And Utolobati is a young person that died at an early age, but you find they've done big things.
Exactly. You come here, it means they have achieved their purpose. Once you are done with a purpose, regardless of whether you are 13 or not, the soul just decides to live. And when the soul decides to live, it lives. You cannot stop it. So,
we were talking about dealing with people, and you saying God helped you to forgive them.
Yes. So I take it that I was okay. Where I wanted to come was that when you are on earth, you will have people who will help to develop you. They are called the personal emotional trainers. Those people are helping you to achieve whatever it is that you are weak at. So when people do those things to me, I consider them my personal emotional trainers. There is this weakness that I have to deal with, and therefore we have to get these people to come and train me and
in a form of a test,
so in a form exactly. So that's how I consider people when you come, because for me to achieve that, somebody has to come and do a certain things. Like for us to be saved, Jesus had to die, but somebody had to betray Jesus. Unfortunately, it was Judas who was chosen to betray Jesus. So I take those people to be like that. Somebody must be the one who does those things for
your
me.
Purpose
For my people, exactly.
You remind me of when Dr. Ndlozi was asked that after what Malema did, what can you say? Do you hate him? He said, no, I don't hate him. Unfortunately, you cannot choose where your test of character should come from.
Exactly.
So I don't have any.
Exactly.
He's a wise young man.
He is very wise. And hate, man, I don't understand, or I don't know how people live with hate.
Yeah, it's
because it can eat you up. You know,
if I have cancer.
If I went all my life hating people, I think now I would be looking as this, I don't know.
Yeah, I wanted to comment on your face. Since you said you started teaching it in the 1980s, but you look so young.
I'm 62.
It means you are really taking care of yourself.
So I don't harbor any grudges. I don't hate people. And unfortunately, you know that people don't believe in kindness.
Yeah.
People don't believe in kindness. Either they would say you are fake, or
there's something you want,
or you are manipulative, or you are just stupid. But to believe gore man tshwanetse o bane le meshiga nyana man ha o le motho. It cannot be. You can't be that person. Why are you always smiling? People used to get angry at me. How do you do it?
Why?
How do you do it? How can
you are going through a lot?
How can you smile just like that? And it comes naturally. You know, it comes naturally. Unfortunately, but people do like you to be this morose person, and I can't afford that. Unfortunately, that's how I am created. I am like that, and nothing can take. No one can take that away from me. And I'm comfortable with who and what I am. I will always be smiling.
Yeah. I also mentioned that you are an attorney and conveyancer, but I feel like we are run out of time.
Oh.
I will invite you again so we talk about that part, the law part.